Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live Speeds mid-class. We're going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and mute everyone. All right, here we go. Let's start off with some common words. Ready? Poison, seat, summer, work, polish, secretary, support, wound, porter, selection, surprise, writing, position, self, swim, year, able, free, public, delicate, possible, acid, frequent, quick, dependent, present, angry, full, quiet, different, private, automatic, future, ready, dirty, probable, awake, general, red, dry, sudden, bad, good, regular, early, sweet, beautiful, gray, responsible, elastic, tall, bent, great, right, electric, thick, bitter, green, rough, equal, thin, black, hanging, round, false, tight, blue, happy, sad, fat, tired, boiling, hard, safe, feeble, true, bright, healthy, same, female, violent, broken, high, second, fertile, waiting, brown, hollow, secret, first, warm, certain, ill, separate, fixed, wet, cheap, important, serious, flat, white, chemical, kind, sharp, foolish, wide, chief, last, short, mixed, wise, clean, late, shut, narrow, wrong, clear, left, simple, natural, yellow, cold, like, slow, necessary, young, common, living, small, new, complete, long, smooth, normal, complex, loose, soft, old, conscious, loud, solid, open, cruel, low, special, opposite, cut, male, sticky, parallel, dark, married, stiff, past, dead, material, straight, physical, dear, medical, strange, political, deep, military, strong, poor. Hello, how are you? All right, let's go ahead and do some common phrases. Here we go. If you recollect, may recollect, must have recollected, shall recollect, shall recollected, she recollects, she recollected, should have recollected, should recollect, so I recollect, so I recollected, so you recollect, so you recollected, that he recollected, that he recollects, that I recollect, that I recollected, that you recollect, that you recollected, they recollect, they recollected, we recollect, we recollected, what he recollected, what he recollects, what I recollect, what I recollected, what you recollect, what you recollected, when he recollected, when he recollects, when I recollect, when I recollected, when you recollect, when you recollected, where he recollected, where I recollect, where I recollected, where you recollect, where you recollected, whether he recollected, whether he recollects, whether I recollect, whether I recollected, whether or not he recollected, whether or not he recollects, whether or not I recollect, whether or not I recollected, whether or not you recollect, whether or not you recollected, whether you recollect. Okay, I've got a contraction drill here. All right, here we go. Let's have a party. We've got to invite people who will be fun. I'm going to the concert, aren't you? I've never heard that you can't read. Couldn't you take a class, or haven't you got enough cash? Isn't your name written correctly? Doesn't that remind you of who will be singing? There's a girl whose name is Sue. Who's she with? He'll come over around 10. Doesn't that seem like fun? Don't scare him off. They found the child. Wasn't that wonderful? What's the time, please? It's only 12:30 p.m. I'd like to eat lunch now, wouldn't you? Who will eat the whole cake? That'll be easy for me. They shouldn't go, ma'am. Weren't you aware of that? They should have heard the news. You've heard the news? She's pregnant? They didn't go. Won't that hurt? Where's the toy store? We'd like to know. They'll go soon. All right, now some consonant compounds that emphasize initial KL, initial PL, final RNT, final PD. Here we go. The clock begins, let me say that again. The clock belongs to the clerk. Her closet door was closed. She clutched her clothes. We used the Kleenex to clean it up. The clatter came from our classroom. Clyde's claim was clearly stated. Greg's plastic plates were on the placemats. Did you plan for plenty of food? The plot of plants was plowed under. She plugged the hole with the plunger. Did you see the play at the plaza? She plugged the place with the paper. It is apparent your parent is present. Her errant son has returned. Will is a tyrant. Joe popped the top and capped the bottle. She mopped and sopped up the water. We supped and then we napped. Wayne ripped out the coupon and clipped it onto the refrigerator. All right. Let's do some traffic accident words. Here we go. Ready? Skid mark, seatbelt, right-hand lane, right-hand side, right turn, right side, red light, rear view mirror, passing, at the scene, back seat, car length, center lane, center of the, center line, collide, collision, crosswalk, curb lane, south, south side, curb line, southbound, southerly, southern, curve, fender, four-door, speed limit, green light, speed of the, headlight, headlights, highway patrol, left side, stop sign, stop light, street sign, street light, swerve, left-hand lane, left-hand side, middle, middle of the, miles an hour, miles per hour, northbound, northerly, north side, passenger, swerve, swerving, tail light, traffic, traffic light, travel, traveling, truck driver. All right, let's do some Tangle Tamers. Here we go. Suffered recessions, nuclear containment, sophisticated collaboration, valued prudence, automotive ecstasy, microchannel bus architecture, senior vice president, random access, community reacted, affirmative action programs, circuits overloaded, state disability, temper tantrum, conciliatory gestures, inter-district expulsion, merger specialists, strategy collapsed, structural changes, distinguished audience, fundamental things, seldom publicized, primary cause, military measures, defense budget, greater opportunity, 1/3 cooperation, fiscal integrity, national defense, scrawny and emaciated, increasingly frenetic, unauthorized transaction, former amateur boxer, significant tumor development, and computer peripherals. Now I've got some words. They all start with IN. Indecent, inaccessible, indecision, inaccurate, inaction, independent, inactive, indestructible, indifferent, inadequate, inadmissible, indirect, inefficient, inadvisable, inalterable, inanimate, ineligible, inequality, inarticulate, inescapable, inexact, inattentive, inaudible, inexcusable, inexpensive, inexperience, inexperienced, incapable, incomparable, incompatible, incomplete, inconceivable, inconclusive, inconsiderate, inconsistent, inconspicuous, inconvenient, incorrect, incredible, incurable, informal, inhumane, inoperative, insane, insanely, insecure, insensitive, insubordinate, insufficient, invalid. All right. Let's go ahead and get started with our literary. This is on decisions by majority. I'm going to start at 120. I'll work my way to 160, okay? Here we go. The concept of majority rule is deeply embedded in the foundations and the functioning of American democracy, but there are occasions when a simple majority is not considered adequate to justify a significant decision. Indeed, in some instances, such as trial by jury, a unanimous vote of the decision-making body is required. More frequently, a 2/3 or even a 3/4 vote is required under special circumstances where a majority vote is not considered sufficiently weighty under these circumstances. Perhaps the most familiar example of such a safeguard lies in the Constitution itself. When Congress undertakes to alter that basic document of American government, the concurrence of 2/3 of both House and Senate is required to even propose an amendment. Then the approval of 3/4 of the several states is necessary for the amendment to be ratified. In somewhat similar fashion, resolutions proposing amendments to the Constitution of South Carolina likewise require the approval of 2/3 of the membership of each house before they can be submitted to the voters by way of referendum, and even in the meetings of organizations, business groups, clubs, and many other bodies of individuals banded together for a common purpose, there are times when a simple majority vote is unacceptable. The following paragraph from Robert's Rules of Order of Procedure has this to say on the subject: as a compromise between the rights of the individual and the rights of the assembly, the principle has been established that a 2/3 vote is required to adopt any motion that A, suspends or modifies a rule of order previously adopted, B, prevents the introduction of a question for consideration, C, closes, limits, or extends the limits of debate, D, closes nominations or the polls, or otherwise limits the freedom of nominating or voting, E, takes away membership or office. All of the above is by way of prologue to our recommendation that something exceeding a simple majority should be required within the U.S. Supreme Court and perhaps state Supreme Courts as well when ruling on questions of constitutional magnitude. It hardly seems consistent to require initiation by 2/3 of Congress and ratification by 3/4 of the states of a constitutional amendment, which thereafter might be altered through interpretation by a 1-vote margin in the Supreme Court. Yet time and again, momentous questions dealing with the basic framework of U.S. government are decided by 5-4 votes within the Supreme Court. Thus, a single justice within that 9-member body often finds it within his awesome authority to materially and individually influence the course of American government. Would it not be entirely reasonable and appropriate to require that any judicial question of constitutional proportions be decided by at least 2/3 of the court? Far too often these days, the judiciary, and most especially the Supreme Court, undercuts the viability of our political system by assuming unto itself the function of social or legislative reform. That hazard will always be present and will vary with the nature and opportunities of the justices, but the chances of irresponsible action might be lessened if a 2/3 rather than a simple majority be required to effect significant constitutional change. All right. Let's do some jury charge. This is on insanity pleas. Okay, here we go. A man named Daniel Naughton, tried in 1843 for shooting the secretary of the British Prime Minister, was acquitted on grounds that he suffered from a mental defect. His case became precedent in Britain and the United States, leading to the development of insanity pleas. Courts were unwilling to convict persons who did not understand their crimes or who could not stop themselves from committing them. This brought psychiatry into the criminal justice system. A sizable segment of persons involved in crimes were sent to mental institutions for treatment. By the 1960s, grave doubts began to arise as to the value of psychotherapy in the rehabilitation of criminals. Too often, it simply didn't work. About the same time, psychological explanations for the criminal behavior became popular. People who were disadvantaged were more likely to turn to crime. The theory behind this is that all children are born good and fall into crime because of their environments. A recently published 3-volume study by the late Dr. Samuel Yockelson and Dr. Stanton Semenow draws a different and somewhat shocking conclusion. Criminals, particularly habitual criminals, are born bad. Some, not many, can be habilitated, not rehabilitated. An article on their study, The Criminal Personality, appears in a recent issue of the Student Lawyer. It reports that Dr. Yockelson, a successful psychiatrist who wanted to contribute something to his profession, undertook a study of criminal behavior at a federal mental hospital in 2010. Later joined by Dr. Semenow, he examined 250 males who had been found not guilty by reason of insanity. Although the sample was not perfect, they came from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Repeatedly, the researchers were disappointed to discover the psychiatric treatment did not produce change in their patients. They finally gave up trying to explain the criminal and set out to draw a portrait of him. They found that a criminal can come from any kind of home, rich or poor, loving or unloving. At an early age, he is restless, irritable, energetic, difficult to handle. He is unfeeling toward animals and human beings. He begins committing minor crimes early. One admitted 100 thefts before he was 8. Another claimed he had pulled 200,000 crimes by the age of 40, although he had been arrested only once. This was characteristic. Most had committed hundreds of crimes by adulthood, far more than the authorities knew about. They thought about crime constantly, although most would wait until the right moment to commit one because they didn't want to get caught. They habitually lied. When caught, many faked insanity to avoid jail. The researchers found that the criminal believes the world exists to serve him and that his rights transcend those of others. This results from a colossal but easily bruised ego. He will embrace almost anything, even occasional virtue, that boosts his self-esteem. The psychiatrist developed a program that sought to change these men by wedging them into a narrow, moral straitjacket, a program for sainthood. They had to learn routine responsibilities and avoid alcohol and adultery. Even their thoughts had to be pure. Predictably, only 30 survived the 500 hours of therapy under this program, and only 9 are considered complete successes. Dr. Yockelson wrote that few criminals are treatable. Whether this theory is any more accurate than earlier ones remains to be seen, and there is a need for a broader study with a larger and more scientific sample. But the study, which took 15 years, has been widely praised. It certainly casts further doubt on the psychiatric approach to crime. It seriously weakens the case for permitting insanity pleas in all but the most obvious cases. This is an area that deserves legislative attention. Society is certainly tired of seeing cured criminals strike again. All right. How are we doing on time? Oh, good. We're doing great. Oh, good. Pandora's here too. All right. Let's go ahead and we're doing okay on time, so I'm going to give you guys one more. Okay. This is land description. All right, here we go. Land and land covered with water containing 6.76 acres, more or less, being composed of part of water lot in front of farm lot number 46, more particularly described as follows: commencing at the southwest angle of farm lot number 46, said point being in the high water mark of the Detroit River. Thence north 60 degrees, 48 minutes west, 1,762 feet, more or less, to a point in the international boundary line between the United States and Canada. Thence north 20 degrees, 36 minutes east, upstream, and along the said international boundary line, 240 feet, to a point, thence south 56 degrees, 19 minutes, 30 seconds east, 1,783 feet, more or less, to a point in the high water mark of the Detroit River, thence south 17 degrees, 8 minutes west, along said high water mark of the Detroit River, 100 feet, to the point of commencement. Just out of curiosity, did you guys write more or less, M long ORLS?
No.
No? That's a good,
I don't, yeah, I need to work on briefs.
yeah, that one's a good one. M long ORLS for more or less. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. All right, we'll go ahead and start some Q&A, okay? All right. Here we go. I'll start off at 120, okay, and work my way to 160. And if you're pushing, you just get what you can, okay? It'll make your speed seem slower. All right, looks like defense is questioning. Okay, here we go. Okay, now in another day or two, did you go back to the hospital? No, after. In a month, I did. Okay, and when you went back after that month, did you stay there for 2 or 3 days? No. Did you ever spend the night in the hospital? Yes. About when was it that you spent the night in the hospital? About a couple months after the dog bite happened. About 4 months after. Was that for the dog bite, or was that for your asthma? For the dog bite. Did you get an infection and have to go to the hospital? Yes, on my leg. Do you remember when you got that infection? No. Was that in? Okay. Do you know about when you went and spent those nights in the hospital? No. Okay, you have asthma, right? Yes. Have you ever been in the hospital for your asthma? Yes. When was that? I don't know. When did your leg get infected? I don't know. Was it still in the summertime? Yeah. Did you go back to the hospital and stay in the hospital when your leg got infected? Yes. How many nights? 3. Had you been playing baseball before you went back and spent those 3 nights in the hospital for the infected leg? No. So you started playing baseball again after you got out of the hospital those 3 nights? Yes. What did your leg feel like when it was infected? I don't know, like it was on fire. When you were in the hospital, what did your leg feel like? Then it was numb. What was your baseball coach's name? I don't know. Do you remember the all-star coach's name? No. What about your regular team coach before you got on the all-stars? What was his name? Adam. What was Adam's last name? I don't know. What team were you on before you were on the all-stars? White Sox. So you went to the emergency room that first night? Uh-huh. And got the stitches, right? Yeah. And then later on, you spent maybe 3 nights in the hospital when your leg got infected, right? Yes. Now, in between, did you see another doctor? No. Did you have a family doctor you went to? Yeah. Okay. Did you go see that family doctor? Yes. Is he the one who took out the stitches? No. Who took out the stitches? Some nurse. Was that at the hospital? Yes. Was that when your leg got infected? They took out the stitches? No. And then later on, do you remember seeing another doctor? No. A doctor who looked at your leg? No. Do you remember a tesoro? Tesoro? No. You don't remember him? No. Going to see him in October of 2006? No. If you're finished with the photographs, why don't we put them away? I don't want any marks on them. Sure. When your leg got infected, did you go to the same hospital? No. You went to a different hospital? Yes. Okay. What was the name of the hospital you went to when your leg got infected? I don't know. I don't remember. Okay. Are you a football fan? I don't know. I know. Do you play football with your friends at home? No. Are you a basketball fan? No. Do you play basketball at school? Anything like that? No. Just baseball? Yeah. Are you going to play baseball in Texas this year? I don't know. You don't know. Okay. I thank you, Daniel. I don't have any more questions. Maybe some of these other people do. Good morning, Daniel. How are you? Fine. My name is John Wooler. I'm one of the attorneys that represents one of the people that is involved in this lawsuit that your mother has brought on your behalf. Getting back to the area where the accident, where the dog bite occurred, can you tell me how far away from you the dog that bit you? Can you tell me how far away that dog was from you the first time you saw him that day? I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. No. Now you had said that there were 2 dogs that got into the van after the bite. Yes. Did you ever see those 2 dogs together at any time before you were bit? No. You said you had seen the one dog that had bitten you. You saw that dog barking with Max and, yes. The other dog was Lace? Yeah. And that was on a fence at the side of your house, correct? Yes. So if you were standing out on the street and facing towards your house where the dog that bit you and Max and Lace were barking, would it be on the left side? Yes. And if you were to say, if you look at the driveway with there being a left edge of the driveway and right side of the driveway, as you're facing the driveway from the street, can you say how far away on the left side of the driveway it was that Max and the other two dogs were barking? No. Was it close to the left side of the driveway as you're facing the house? Yes. Do you know how far it is between home plate and first base? No. Do you have a picture in your mind about how far that distance is? Yeah. Okay. Is there any way you can give me an estimate of how far you think it is? About 90 feet. Okay, now is the field that you're used to playing in the same size as a regular adult field? Yes. Can you say about how far from the left edge of the driveway it was that you saw the three dogs barking? No. Using the length of home plate to first base? I don't know. Was it more than, say, halfway between? Excuse me, counsel. We've been over this so many times, and he said he doesn't know how far. You know, he may have a picture in his mind of where the dog was, but as far as measurements, okay, well, let's take a look back to that photograph number E we looked at earlier, okay? Well, that picture doesn't really show the area that he described where the dog was first barking at Max. So if you have another picture, well, first, let me clarify that with him. In looking at that photograph, does it show the area where you first saw the other dog barking with Max and Lace, the dog that bit you? That's a question. He's saying the dog was over there, over here. That would be off to the left side of photograph E? Yes. Now there appears on the left side of the driveway to be a fence. Is that true? Yes. How far does that fence go down before it ends to your left as you're facing the driveway? I don't know. Were the dogs barking around the corner from that fence on the left side? Yes. Did you ever see the dog that bit you coming along that fence along the left side of the driveway before it got to the driveway? Yes. Did you see the dog that bit you come around the corner from the fence and along the fence and then to the driveway? Yeah. So you watched it come all the way around? Yeah. And while you were watching it, as it was coming around the fence and towards the driveway, where were you standing? By the fence. Were you on the driveway at that time? Yes. How far were you from the garage door? About 3 feet. And the garage door was open at that time? Yes. Now, as the dog was walking around the fence and towards the driveway, and I'm talking about the dog, we're talking about the dog that bit you, okay? Yes. As that dog was walking around the fence and towards the driveway, was it barking at the dogs? But when it got on the driveway, it started growling at me. How long after it got on the driveway did it start growling at you? I don't know. Was it right away or was it barking at the other dogs when it was on the driveway for a while? Right when it got on the driveway, it looked right at me and started growling and showing his teeth. At that time, how far were you from the dog that bit you? About a couple feet. And by couple, you mean more than 2 or about 5 feet? Now, did it stay there and growl at you for a while, or did it just come right toward you? It started walking towards me and growling. Was it ever stopped on the driveway and growling at you before it started coming towards you? Right when it got to me, it stayed there for about a minute and watched me. Then it started slowly walking up, growling at me, showing his teeth. Did it go running up to you? Well, yes, when I started climbing on the fence. Now, you had said you were almost over the fence when the dog grabbed your leg. Is that correct? Yes. Had you gotten either of your legs over the top of the fence before the dog grabbed your leg? No, I was almost over on the other side. Was any part of your body over the top of the fence? My hands. What were you holding on to at that time? The fence I was trying to get over. Were you holding on to the post that goes along the top of the fence? Yes. And was a leg at the time when the dog grabbed onto your leg? Was one leg up higher up the fence than the other leg? Yeah. Which leg was up higher? My left one. And was your foot inside the chain link? Yeah. How about your right foot? Was it also in the chain link? Yes. And do you know how far from the top your left foot was in the chain link at the time the dog grabbed your right leg? No, I have nothing further. Just a few. Was your chest even with the top of the fence? Yeah. At the time that the dog grabbed your right leg? Yes. Counsel, why don't we take a short break? Then you can continue your questioning. Sure, let's go off the record. All right, so let's switch transcripts. Okay. All right. How are we doing on time? Good. We're doing good on time. All right. Now this is going to go back to the transcript we've been working on. It's a court transcript, and it sounds like it's a custody case, divorce case. All right, here we go. Mrs. Netter, did you purchase a spa, a gazebo, and a bar? Yes, we did. My mother did. And when did you purchase this spa, gazebo, and bar? I think it was November of 2009. Your Honor, I can barely hear the witness. I'm sorry, I have strep throat. I'm very sick today. I'm talking as loud as I can, I promise. Your Honor, I meant to say something before we got started. Yes, I really don't want to get sick. She has an abscess in her tooth, and she has been on medication. She'd been to see the dentist last Wednesday, and she's on painkillers and in tremendous pain. She wants to go forward with this, and so it really is very difficult for her, but we're going to try and finish up. Okay, we've already started. Go ahead. We want to get through this as quickly as possible. Now, was your husband with you when you purchased this spa? And, well, we had both gone together and put the down payment on it. Do you remember how much the down payment was? I don't recall. Now, did that money come out of your joint checking account with your husband? I believe it did. Did you make any other payments on the spa out of the joint account? No, we didn't. Okay, now your mother, well, she paid the full amount for it, and then we had it delivered, and the setup, and all that other expense. Do you know how much she paid? Approximately $8,000. Well, why did you purchase this jacuzzi? Well, I have a curvature of the spine called scoliosis, and I needed it for myself to help with the back pain, but also for entertainment for our family, mainly for my bad back. Have you any agreement with your mom so that you are paying her back the money that she paid on the spa? Yes, I do. How much have you paid her over the last 2 years on the spa? It's off and on. It's anywhere from $250 a month to $300, depending on what I have and what I can do. The average is $250 a month. That's what the payment schedule is set up to be. And how do you pay her? By cash or check? It depends on the circumstance. Most of the time it's cash because she's retired and she lives in her motorhome and she needs her grocery money, and I would give her the cash so that she doesn't have to go to the bank or anything and leave the park. Now, have you had any conversations with Mr. Netter regarding the spa and gazebo? Since the divorce, you mean? Back and forth? Yes. Yes, I have. Did he ever acknowledge the fact that this was your own piece of property? At one point, he was going to let me have it, that it was my separate property, and I could retain the bill to go with it, yes. And did he then, before that, change his mind about you having it? Yes, he did. Now, did he explain to you why he was changing his mind? It was one of the only few assets that were sellable, and he could make some quick cash on it to have the money to pay for bills and things. Okay, no further questions of this witness, Your Honor, at this point. Mr. Anderson, not on this issue. Well, total. How much have you paid back? I don't know. My mom has the records. I don't keep track. Is there a written contract that you were supposed to pay this back? Well, no, it is family. It is verbal? Yes. Did she write a check out? Yes, she wrote a check out. Did it have gift on it? I don't know. Did the check have loan on it? I don't know. She has the check on her. I believe Marla has a copy of the check. Have some of the payments that you've been credited for on this loan been, I don't know how to say it other than in lieu of gifts? Say that it was your, oh yeah, like in September, she would waive the payment for my birthday as a present. Was there any interest on the loan? Not to my knowledge, no. Did your mom live with the two of you for a while? For a couple of months. It was kind of an exchange. We lived with her for a few months while our mobile home was being built. Okay, and did you ever loan her any money? No. Your mom? No. You never gave her any money at all? Well, I would give her money we had borrowed over a period of time, but I would repay her. Did you ever give her $3,300? Probably as a repayment on a loan. On what loan? At the time when we were selling our first home, we had to pay off some debts in order to qualify for the second home, and she had loaned us the money to do this, and when our home closed, we paid her back. No further questions on this. Anything further with this witness? Yes, we do have another, Your Honor. Anything further with this witness? No, I'm sorry. No, Your Honor. You may step down. The next witness, please. Yes, the witness is outside. We will call Arlene Laurenbaugh. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give in the matter before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Would you please be seated? If you would, please state your full name for the record. Arlene Laurelbaugh. And spell your last name, please. Loreelbaugh. Thank you very much. You may inquire, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, you're Cindy Netter's mother. Is that correct? That's correct. And do you recall ever purchasing a spa, gazebo, and a bar for Cindy? Yes, it was done so that it was supposed to be a loan. She needed it for her back. She has some curvature of the spine, and she is in pain all the time. So the doctor recommended that she do this. He said it might be helpful. Do you recall when you made this purchase? It was September or October. And do you recall how you purchased that spa? Well, yes, I gave Cindy a check, my personal check, with the amount that they wanted, and they wanted a check. So my checking account is with the Orange County Teachers Federal Credit Union. And it needed a trip to Orange County to get. So I gave her the check so that she could go to her bank and purchase the check, certified check. Now, did you make any other purchases that relate to the spa? Yes, I did. Did you make any purchase regarding the installation of the spa? Yes, I did. And did you pay that money also to Cindy? I don't remember if I did or not. My checks would say. Okay, and is there anything else that you recall paying in regard to the spa? I paid for the delivery, and at the time of the delivery, they had mentioned that there were cushions that went to the bar stools and also a cover for the gazebo for bad weather. So I also purchased that. Did the doctor say that the bar would help her recover faster? Objection argumentative. Sustained. Now, have you kept a record of the amounts that you've paid out on the jacuzzi? Yes. And has Cindy been making payments toward the amount? There have been payments made, yes. Not always regularly. She wasn't always able to. And did you have some kind of a written note from her for payment of this amount? No, I did not feel with family that this was necessary. There's no interest charged on the loan. Nothing further. Okay, I'm going to have you take a look at the document that I would like to mark as Exhibit A. Is this the receipt for the spa? I would assume so. The purchase price, what was left of the spa, was $8,800, and that's what she gave us to buy the spa. And when did she give you the money? That was approximately it was actually October 2009. Just before you got delivery? Yes. Did she ever explain to you that she expected repayment on that? No, she did not. There is no written note or anything. There is no written note. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor. Anything further of this witness? Yes, just one more. Isn't it true that you had to wait that long to get the jacuzzi because you had to wait until the condo sold until this is true? And isn't it true that she told you that this jacuzzi was for her, Cindy, specifically, and that if anything happened in the marriage, it would be Cindy's? To answer both of your questions, no, she did not say that. As to the marriage issue, our marriage wasn't on the rocks or anything. I don't recall that circumstance, no. I'm sorry, did Mrs. Loughborough ever tell you that this was a gift to you? Specifically, yes, not to me. I have no further questions of this witness at this time. Nothing further. Thank you, sir. You can step down. All right. What issues are you having concerning the division of the property? Well, it's the characterization of the property, Your Honor. I may have misspoke. Among the list of items that the petitioner has provided are numerous items of separate property, and it's that issue that we're trying to get to. Your Honor, if I may, we've made some changes and we've requested changes, and the request in our trial brief are here. The reason for that being that Mrs. Netter spoke with Mr. Netter this week and basically said, hey, it doesn't matter. I'm filing for bankruptcy anyway. So we're now forced to posture a little bit differently. I object, Your Honor. I really object to counsel testifying here regarding the statements by my client. That's not even true. She never said that, and I think it's inappropriate to be saying that. Are you contemplating bankruptcy, Mrs. Netter? I just simply stated that he would be driving me into it if we can't get this. What are you folks fighting about now? What is the bottom line? The bottom line is, in our trial brief, we sat here at the meeting and agreed on certain items that's listed in the trial brief that you have there under one set. And there was some other issues that we had a difference as to character value, possessions, things like that. In the document that I have here, I've marked it 23A and 23B. And I believe counsel has a copy. I've tried to resolve those issues by basically saying, hey, if she says it's her separate property, we'll give it to her because we're talking negative here anyway. And he can't afford to spend any more money going through 2 hours on these little issues. So I don't know if the court wants me to present that. Have you seen the list? I have not had a chance to go over it, Your Honor. I submitted my list with the trial brief. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you both a little direction. I suggest you sit down and you work this out right now. If not, I'm going to appoint a referee and order both of these people to advance $1,000 for a referee to take and make factual findings regarding these small items of property. I've given this case enough time. Now let's get on with resolving the issue here. Do you folks want to come back? Do you want to retain a referee? No, sir. No, Your Honor. Then sit down and work these small issues out like adults. Your Honor, if I might add something, we sent a settlement proposal to council. I don't want to hear about that. Act like adults. Do you want to step out and work out this right now? Okay, thank you. All other issues are submitted. All right, so we'll go ahead and do a little read back. Okay, the first time I'll read it at 160, then 140, and then 120. Okay, let's see here. All right, looks like plaintiff. Okay, here we go. Where was that? In Westchester Community Hospital. What part of your body? My left hip. What did you feel to your left hip? Quite a severe pain. Well, was it a constant pain or an intermittent pain? Well, at first it was constant, and then it was more or less intermittent. By the time you left the Westchester Hospital, did you still continue feeling the pain in your left hip? Yes, I did. Did it seem to be getting better at that time, or was it worse? No, better. During your stay at Westchester, did you feel any other pain other than your hip, your chest, and your upper lip? Yes, I did. What part of your body? My whole body. Did the doctor give you any medicines or any pain pills? They were giving me shots. Do you know what kind of shots? Intravenous. Did you ever suffer an inconvenience as a result of the shots or pills? Yes, I did. In what way? My whole body swelled up bad and the joints froze up. I couldn't even move. I had hives all over me. I also had a rash. You say you had hives all over you. Describe what you mean by that. Red bumps. All over your body? Yes. Do you have any knowledge what these hives and this rash were from? Not definitely, but I never had it before. Right, so we'll do it again at 140. Here we go. Where was that? In Westchester Community Hospital. What part of your body? My left hip. What did you feel to your left hip? Quite a severe pain. Well, was it a constant pain or an intermittent pain? Well, at first it was constant, and then it was more or less intermittent. By the time you left the Westchester Hospital, did you still continue feeling the pain in your left hip? Yes, I did. Did it seem to be getting better at that time, or was it worse? No, better. During your stay at Westchester, did you feel any other pain other than your hip, your chest, and your upper lip? Yes, I did. What part of your body? My whole body. Did the doctor give you any medicines or any pain pills? They were giving me shots. Do you know what kind of shots? Intravenous. Did you ever suffer an inconvenience as a result of the shots or pills? Yes, I did. In what way? My whole body swelled up bad and the joints froze up. I couldn't even move. I had hives all over me. I also had a rash. You say you had hives all over you. Describe what you mean by that. Red bumps. All over your body? Yes. Do you have any knowledge what these hives and this rash were from? Not definitely, but I never had it before. All right. Last time at 120. Here we go. Where was that? In Westchester Community Hospital. What part of your body? My left hip. What did you feel to your left hip? Quite a severe pain. Well, was it a constant pain or an intermittent pain? Well, at first it was constant, and then it was more or less intermittent. By the time you left the Westchester Hospital, did you still continue feeling the pain in your left hip? Yes, I did. Did it seem to be getting better at that time, or was it worse? No, better. During your stay at Westchester, did you feel any other pain other than your hip, your chest, and your upper lip? Yes, I did. What part of your body? My whole body. Did the doctor give you any medicines or any pain pills? They were giving me shots. Do you know what kind of shots? Intravenous. Did you ever suffer an inconvenience as a result of the shots or pills? Yes, I did. In what way? My whole body swelled up bad and the joints froze up. I couldn't even move. I had hives all over me. I also had a rash. You say you had hives all over you. Describe what you mean by that. Red bumps. All over your body? Yes. Do you have any knowledge what these hives and this rash were from? Not definitely, but I never had it before. All right. How was that?
Easy for me, but
Good. Well, that's good. That's your goal, you know?
yeah.
For some reason, it was hard for me to say Westchester. I kept wanting to say Westminster because we do have a Westminster, you know, by Fountain Valley.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's why I wanted to say Westminster, but it's Westchester. So, all right. Well, if you want, I'll start. And then,
sure.
Okay. Did you find your spot?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Question. Where was that? Answer: in Westchester Community Hospital.
Question, what part of your body? Answer, my left hip.
Question: what did you feel to your left hip? Answer: quite a severe pain.
Question, well, was it a constant pain or an intermittent pain? Answer, well, at first it was constant, and then it was more or less intermittent.
And that was another hard word that I don't know why, I had a hard time saying intermittent.
Intermittent.
I know.
Yeah.
Question: by the time you left the Westchester Hospital, did you still continue feeling the pain in your left hip? Answer: yes, I did.
Question, did it seem to be getting better at that time or was it worse? Answer, now, I had a question on this because I couldn't tell if you were saying no better or no, comma, better.
Yeah, actually there's no comma here, so that tells me it's no better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it threw me too. When I didn't see the comma, I'm like, wait, there's a typo here. It should be no comma better. But then I thought, no, because maybe they said no better. Like it's no better. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm not quite sure which way that one went because I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
But
Yep. It's
anyways.
no better.
Okay.
There's no
No,
comma there.
I have that. I have no better.
Yeah, no better. Question. During your stay at Westchester, did you feel any other pain other than your hip, your chest, and your upper lip? Answer. Yes, I did.
Question, what part of your body? Answer, my whole body.
Question. Did the doctor give you any medicines or any pain pills? Answer. They were giving me shots.
Question, do you know what kind of shots? Answer, intravenous. Intravenous. Can't talk.
I know, that's another one. Intravenous. I know I know for some reason this was hard for me to read, but I didn't know if it's good that it was easy for you to write. All right, question. Did you ever suffer an inconvenience as a result of the shots or pills? Answer. Yes, I did.
Question, in what way? Answer, my whole body swelled up bad and the joints froze up. I couldn't even move. I had hives all over me. I also had a rash.
Awesome. Question. You say you had hives all over you. Describe what you mean by that. Answer. Red bumps.
Question, all over your body? Answer, yes.
Question. Do you have any knowledge what these hives and this rash were from? Answer. Not definitely, but I never had it before. Great job.
Cool. Do you write out intermittent?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I mean, it was easy to write at this speed, but I'm just imagining a little faster. It might have been a little bit of a finger twister, maybe.
Yeah, I just do int, mit, int. I do 3 strokes, not inter. I just do like int, int, mit. I do mit and then ent. I do
Oh,
int, mit, int. So it's
okay.
kind of like a squeeze a little bit because I don't do inter.
Yeah, I did. I did it in 4 strokes, but that's
Yeah.
good. I can just squeeze it like that. That's
Yeah,
probably better.
At least it saves 1 stroke instead of inter. Just do int. Int.
Yeah, because then if they add the lee at the end, then you've got I've have 5 strokes for that one word.
Exactly.
Intermittently.
I know.
So
And same with intravenous. I'm sure there's probably a brief for that.
probably.
I just do int veen yes. Int
So
veen
you just take out the or the
yeah.
ruh.
Uh-huh. I just do int int and then v long en veen and then I come back for yus. Int veen yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good
But I'm
trick.
sure there's a brief out there for it.
There's a brief for everything.
I know. And that's the thing. If it doesn't come up all the time, then I don't remember what it is. So then I just say, forget it. I'm going to write it out.
I have to laugh because I'm on the brief exchange on Facebook. I don't know if you're in that group, but
I'm on one of them. I think that's it.
some of the briefs that people ask for, I'm like, do you just need this for the day? Are you working on something really random? Because when are you ever going to need a brief for? It's just like it was something so specific, and I'm like,
Yes.
how often does that come up? But whatever, no judgment.
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember
No,
all of them
I
like that,
agree.
you know?
It has to be something that comes up all the time for me to use it as a brief, you know? But I guess some people have that photographic memory where they see it once and they remember it. You know, it's just crazy to me how I do have a friend that briefs everything. And I'm like, how do you remember that? I I don't even know how she does it, but she
That's
does. She
crazy.
remembers. And then I have another friend that doesn't brief anything. So I always feel like I'm kind of like middle of the road, you know?
It's funny because we were going over briefs and I asked you, I forget, something came up and I asked you for motorcycle and then you're like, oh, and by the way, window is woo.
Woo. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll never use that. But when you know it, for some reason, it got in my head and now I use it.
Good.
I was like, I was writing and I was like, I started using woo for window and
Isn't that, I still to this day do that. If I give you guys like a brief drill, like, okay, for example, not too long ago, I came across the brief city, but I always feel like, well, if they don't want to use the briefs, they can write it out. But it said STI. And I was like, wow, like I always wrote out city, but now when I come across it, I just write STI, like it totally stuck. So I guess that it still happens,
Yeah, that one just like, I wasn't even trying to make that a brief for me or anything. It just
and then woo
somehow
stuff.
got in there because I said, oh, I'll never use that. And it just, I guess my
Like,
brain
oh, woo.
grabbed onto it.
Yeah.
So, and a word that I would love to brief and I don't is body. And it's not hard to write, but it comes up so much. I feel like if I can just do it in one stroke, I should. It's not a problem for me, but I don't know why I think about that. Like, I like to brief like words that come up all the time. I feel like it opens up space for like the bigger words that come along less frequently. So I don't know. I was thinking I might do Boyd, like Boyd, BOID.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep. Or you could just do BOD with the flag.
I could do that.
Because if your finger is already here, like BOD, it would be easy just to flag it,
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Do you have a second? I have a question if you have a second. I'm having a real problem with accidentally hitting Z when I'm coming back for my D and it's my dollars, DZ. And so I get past tense words all the time with dollars after instead of the D. And I'm trying to work on it, but I don't know if it's because of my wide key or what it is, but do you use DZ for your dollars?
Yeah.
Have you ever run into that problem or no?
Yeah, I mean, I have. And then I had to I had to really consciously go back and practice it and kind of, I've had problems before. Like I remember one time for like final G words, I was going for the final Z, like running, I would hit the Z instead of the final G. And I was getting so mad because I didn't understand why I was doing that. So then I started paying more attention to it and practicing it. And then I got out of it, so you're saying okay, wounded. If you were to write wound, WOUND, and then instead of coming back for final D, you accidentally hit the DZ. Is that what you're saying you do?
Yeah.
So DZ.
It's like I don't know what I mean, because I can't look at my fingers when I'm writing fast, so I don't know what I'm doing.
You probably just barely brushed that Z.
But it's like, it's happening a lot. Maybe I just need to drill past tense words a little bit more and really focus on it. But I've been trying, and
that's what you need to do. But maybe I can pull some stuff that's past tense.
Okay, and then I have one other question for you.
Oh yeah, no worries.
This is I have a love-hate relationship with the number bar. I really do. Do you use the number bar?
I do, but I know Tammy does not. So there are some people that don't. And I couldn't, like, I could see maybe like some of the numbers making it easy to just write it out, but I don't know. Like, I know some people do. I use the number bar that, well, I mean, I take that back. 1 through 10, like I have 2 dogs. I would write TWO so that it comes out as the word, but anything over 10, I use my number bar. So are you having a hard time with numbers?
My problem is if I misstroke, I have no way to figure out what I wrote. And that's the part that I wish, like, I know, like, people who write out their numbers, you can work your way through it if you misstroke, because you at least have something instead of just the number sign or the pound sign or whatever, sometimes. And
What did
I
your
mean,
aunt do?
she learned to write out all her numbers, so she writes out everything now. So what happened was with me, I mean, it's terrible. Well, not terrible, it works. But around 160, 140, maybe, I decided I didn't want to use my number bar. So I found some people who had like 1-stroke briefs for every number 1 through 100, and I started to learn them. And I came up with like my own system kind of, and then I was like, you know what, this is slowing me down. I can't do this. So I stopped. So now I kind of like do both. I use my number bar and I write out certain things that it's just whatever comes fast to me. And I don't know what my brain's reasoning is for it, but sometimes I'll use my number bar, and sometimes I mostly use words for, like, for instance, like 100, 200, 300, like the hundreds,
Right.
and then 1 through 10, and then like everything else I use my number bar.
So like if somebody gave you an address, like I live at 2050 Oak Drive, would you use your number bar?
I would use my number bar for that.
Okay.
But if you said like
I made $250, what would you do?
I have a brief for 200, which is
Oh.
one stroke, and then I would hit 50 with my number bar.
So have you entered that all in your dictionary to where if you do half and half, it still comes up?
Yeah.
So
It's all translating fine.
well, so if it's translating fine, even if you like switch back and forth, then I don't see what the problem is.
I guess I don't know. I kind of want to switch to not using my number bar at all.
I wouldn't be afraid to do that because there's a lot of people out there. Yolanda, I don't know if you remember Yolanda, but Tammy, they never used in fact, I think Tammy learned her theory without using the number bar. So there are a lot of people out there that they don't use it.
Where did Tammy go to school? Do you know? I wonder if she went.
She went to it was back when Chaffey College. I don't know if you've heard of Chaffey.
I don't even know. No.
It was like a community college, and she went through, the program there. That was, years ago, but
because my aunt went to Merritt, and she learned. I don't know if you knew Merritt.
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Heard of that.
She actually knew Yolanda.
Oh.
Yeah, my aunt, she remembered when I told her that Yolanda was my teacher in 120, I think, or something.
Probably.
No, 140, 120, I don't remember. And I told her name, and she was like, that sounds really familiar. And Yolanda, I guess, was a reader at Merritt when my aunt was in school. So anyways, but long story short.
I don't think Yolanda uses the number bar.
Yeah, probably not if she was associated with Merritt, because I don't think they taught the number bar.
I remember her saying that.
But I mean, my system is working for me. I write my numbers, I write them fast. I get frustrated when for instance, like just have like a, a misstroke on the number bar and I can't read it. I have no, there's no hope because you
Yeah.
have no clue at all what you wrote,
What it is.
you
Yeah.
know? So I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know like when I'm in a job, if there's numbers involved, like I'm subconsciously like really making sure I got those. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
will look over to make sure I got it. And if not, you would have to just say something like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I gotta, fix this, or can you repeat that? Or, you just want to subconsciously make sure you get that number.
I remember you in theory telling the story. I always think of this about like, I don't know if it was your first job or one of the first jobs you went on. It was like all numbers. Like it was like some, they just kept rattling off like decimals and numbers all day long. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I think about that, that would be a nightmare for me. That would be an absolute night. I mean, I'm comfortable with my numbers, but if you have one misstroke, you can't read it with
Yeah.
your number bar.
Yep. Yep. You have to make sure you
And
get it.
I practice my numbers all the time, but I can't, I'm not perfect on the number bar. I misstroke
But when
enough
you
where,
misstroke, doesn't it feel odd? Like, because I know if I misstroke, if I hit, like, if I want to hit 8 and I accidentally hit 7, like 7, I know, oh gosh, like it just doesn't feel right,
well, I have the luxury to think like that when I'm like in this class, but when I'm like trying to write 225,
Yeah.
I'm really not thinking like that. Like I can fix it when it's a little slower or I have a breath, but
Yeah.
when I'm
High
pushing
speeds.
at the high speeds, I'm just writing. I'm not really thinking about my fingers. So that's the part that is frustrating is for testing more than anything else is I can't figure out my notes if I do misstroke.
Yeah.
But hopefully it won't be a problem. I
Yeah.
just
So maybe, I mean, if you're getting it down and you're not hesitating as far as numbers go with you writing it out. I mean, I think writing it out is great because like you said, if you screw up, you're still going to be able to have a readable outline, where if you like accidentally hit something and you get the asterisk instead of a number, yeah, you're in the dark, you have no idea what it was. So
I'm honestly, after I'm done and I'm working, I might make the full switch.
my girlfriend that did that, she's a depot reporter. She said that she can write her numbers so much quicker now because she writes it all out, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it would be. I mean, I do some tricks with my number bar that makes it faster. Like I reverse and double my digits using EU. I don't know if you've heard of people who do that or if you do that, but
No, I don't do that, but I have heard of that.
which I love. Like it works for me because I can do, like
So like instead, like if I were to say he was born on the 11th, you would do something instead of going 1-1, you do.
okay, that's where I ran into a problem because we learned ordinals with the E, and so I can't. But oh my gosh, it's embarrassing, but I stopped using E for my ordinals. I come back for the ordinal,
What it is, like
what
the
it is.
T or
Yeah,
the TH. Okay, well that's okay though. That's
yeah.
okay.
So like 11 is I just hit 1 in EU, and that's 11.
1 EU. Okay, okay.
And then like if I want to hit 95 or something where it's out of order, I hit the EU. So I hit 5 EU9 and that's my 95.
Oh, and it like reverses it.
It reverses it.
Wow.
So I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. you don't have to hit 9 and then come back for 5. It's just,
I do it in one,
wow.
which
Well,
I like it, but it's just the fact that I can't read my way through an outline if I misstroke. That
Yeah.
really is more so for testing than anything else. I
Yeah.
know in the real world, you have backup and you can stop and ask, like there's, it's in real time and, you
Yeah.
can figure it out or ask a question right then and there, or write yourself a note when you get a breath because you might remember it or
Right.
something, but
Exactly.
on a test, you're just, that all goes out the window. There's none of that. So, but on a test like the RPR, it's not like there's a million numbers coming up. It's like they'll throw in 2 or 3 numbers throughout the whole test. So
Right.
maybe 1 or 2 errors at the most that it would cost me. But I was just curious. I don't know. I was curious about making the switch. I don't know.
I mean, if you've already done it, you've already gone halfway through it and you feel like you're getting it, then why not? I would
But
say.
do you love your number bar? Like, do you love it?
I do, but I know when I make a mistake, like I can just feel it. It just, you know what I mean? So not everybody loves their number bar. Like my girlfriend that switched over, she hated her number bar. She hated it. And that's why she switched over. And now she never uses her number bar ever.
Huh. We'll see. Maybe I'll just do my half and half method. And
You should for now. If it works, who cares? Only, as long as you can read it, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true.
If it works for you, then it works. You write some things out as words and then other things you use your number bar, and that's okay.
I really hate my 5 and my 0 more than anything.
Yeah.
Like when it's 50, I'm fine, but if it's one or the other,
yeah, or 0-5
or 0-5, like
wait,
oh my god.
So if it were 0-5, would you do that EU thing?
Yeah, but then I can't. Sometimes I forget to hit the number bar.
Oh gosh.
Like I just hit.
So then you just get long eye.
I get long eye. So I can't forget to hit the number bar up there. Yeah, but that's what I would hit for 05.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, okay.
Well,
enough of that. I was curious.
Yeah, for now,
what you do.
it's working for now, and I eventually, if you like using the words for numbers, then I would switch, because it does seem like it would be more accurate, because if you mess up or if you shadow something, you're still going to be able to read it, where a number bar, you're not. You shadow 2 numbers on a number bar, it's like, oh, did I mean, is that 2 3, or did I only went 2 or 3?
I do that too sometimes. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I could just keep practicing until I'm perfect, but nobody's 100% perfect all the time.
Right, exactly.
But I mean, I'll figure it out. I'm not going to change anything for now, I guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
And
I'm kind of
fascinated.
Well, I envy the people that have switched over and they don't use their number bar, because I feel like, wow, if I wasn't so hesitant, I would do that. It's almost like what I learned in theory, I just can't drop,
Yeah. Man, I honestly kind of wish I learned it that way, writing them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of wish. I don't know. It's worked for me so far, so I'm not complaining, but it's funny I envy you for loving your number bar and being like good with it. I'm like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with my number bar. It works in a lot of ways, but then if you mess up,
Yeah.
You're
out of luck.
You're out of luck. Anyways, well,
what is your test?
Friday.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'll be in class on Friday morning first before my test.
Oh, yay.
I did that. Yeah, I did that on purpose so I can kind of get like warmed up and then the last thing I'm going to do after class is I'm going to write to some really high speed, and I want that to be the last thing I hear. And then I'm going to relax, and then I'm going to take my test.
Good.
That's what I did for my jury charge, and it worked. So
good. All right.
So I downloaded some RMR material. I bought an old RMR test from NCRA, which is at 260.
That's good. Just don't get frustrated, but yeah.
No, I won't. I want that to be the last thing that's like playing in my mind.
Yeah.
So that when I sit down, hopefully it'll like feel nice and
Whoa,
slow.
So slow.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. Either way, it'll be good. So
It'll be fine.
All right.
Well, then are you going to be here tomorrow morning?
No, I won't. I can't tomorrow morning, but I'll be in class in the evening.
Okay, perfect.
Tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow night then.
Okay, see you then.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.